Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Oh, hey, Steve. Good to see you there. Hi.
Jesus, we're doing this again?
Yes. Again, here we go.
Cool.
So how's everybody this week?
Pretty good, brother.
Doing good. It's Friday.
Two thumbs up.
It's awesome.
What's up with
awesome,
you,
Bob?
Steve?
Friday. Huh?
Oh, Friday's awesome, yeah.
It's Friday. It's Friday.
Gotta get down on
Steve, how are you doing?
The usual.
Yeah.
Working hard. Stamping out
Hardly
disease,
working.
saving lives. Yeah.
Do you, at the end of like a session with a patient, when they leave, do you like turn to yourself in the mirror and go, "Life saved" or anything like that?
Mission accomplished.
I can't stop working. I got to stop working right now.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Oh, is it? Yeah, it's because it's interfering with your frame rate.
I just had George call me and say that. So we, the two extravaganza shows were published today. Like we have two new shows, one in New York City and one in Boston at the end of March. And then somebody contacted George and said, "Hey, one of the dates is wrong," which was really nice that they did that, because there's multiple pages. You click into another page and it takes you to the ticket page, and there's another page after that. So one of the pages has a wrong date, which I have to, it's like a freak out, but because I can't fix it myself, I have to like go through 3 people to get it fixed, which is a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to tell you guys. Well, first off, we got these shows coming up. So
yes,
if you're interested, Ian should probably have those up on the site. When, Ian?
During the stream, probably.
During the stream now, right? Yeah, go to our events page tomorrow and you'll be able to see the 2 shows. We got one in New York City. This will be on the 26th, and we have another one in Boston on the 27th. And we will also be having 2 private shows, one for each city, and those will probably come out in about a week. The dates will be the 25th and the 27th, respectively.
Sweet.
So what was I going to tell you guys? I had a stupid thing that happened to me. Now I can't remember. I'm going to look at Evan's.
You stubbed your toe?
No, I got to change if we change the topic, my brain will then remember. It's the way that my head works. Evan has got some type of weird sunset situation happening behind him. We'll talk about that later, I guess, right? Who knows?
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is a puzzle.
So I had somebody try to scam me today.
Oh, yeah, that's it?
Ooh.
This is something else that happened to me. So I got a text message this morning claiming to be from Norton Antivirus.
Norton.
Norton.
And
I've been watching you.
All right, does anyone know what we were referencing? Just put that question out there.
Gosh.
Continue,
That's
Jay.
still a thing,
Anyone
right?
50 and older knows what we were
Yeah, for old
referencing.
white guys.
I hope that one just becomes, that's got to become part of the.
But that was before our time too. We were
Was
watching
it?
that
You
in
think that
massive reruns as much as anybody.
Yes, the original. Yes.
There it is. Somebody got
gosh.
it.
Who got it?
Yes, you know what, and you know why, Steve? Because
Why?
it used to bookend when I first watched Star Trek, the original series,
Yeah.
on channel whatever, WOR, WPIX, out of New York, New Jersey, at like 11:30 midnight is when it would come, and I'd have the black and white TV with the antennas. I kid you not, in the late 70s, early 80s, so I could get it. You'd have to stay up late to see that Star Trek, and the Honeymooners were on either before it or after it. So that
Yeah.
So, wow, I think I
Star
remember
Trek
that.
and Honeymooners have a significant
right?
crossover.
Captain Kirk and Ralph Cramden. There you go.
To the moon.
All right. So the text message didn't pass the sniff test. It was obviously not legit. I don't think any text message that comes from anybody other than people I know is not legit. But then later today, I got an email that made me do a little research. So I get this email, perfectly done to look like it came from a professional company, Norton Antivirus. Everything like it had all the stuff on it. The links were correct. The email addresses were correct. So I looked up the phone number. The phone number was not the Norton Antivirus phone number. Then I went on the Norton website, and the guy was charging we just charged your credit card $300 and some odd. It was kind of like, renewal of the annual thing. And if you have any problems with this, please call us here. So they wanted you to call, and they want you to basically give your credit card information so they can scam your credit card. So the first thing I found was the price didn't match. And then I hit the reply email, which was support at Norton.com or Intuit.com or whatever it was. It looked totally legit. But when it went into my Gmail as a respond email, it was like Rodrigo77398@gmail.com, which of course means it's a total scam. But, for people who don't pay attention or who move fast, aren't specifically looking for that, you could easily get scammed.
I mean, I'm getting more and more sophisticated scams like that all the time, where you got to do a double take. But now I'm just in the mode where I don't respond to anything.
Yeah.
I don't click nothing.
Yeah, a good idea. If they contact you, be suspicious.
Yeah,
of course.
Exactly.
If they reach out out of nowhere. And Jay, did they use your name in the that you were communicated to by email?
Yeah, they use my name.
Really?
Yep.
What
my
else?
email address, Bob, they have my email address. That's my name. My full name is my email address.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Jay, so it was the phone number. That's what was the only clue.
The phone number was not correct. And they were prompting me that when I re-looked at the email, once I realized that it was a scam, and now I'm looking at it in a different way. The whole thing was to get you to call them so you can cancel the charge.
Right. That's right.
So
that's a lot of them that I get now. It's like, you've been charged, for something, or we're just renewing, but they want you to panic and go, oh wait, that's not right. I got to call them and straighten this out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Plenty of people will fall for that. Yes.
Totally. Yeah, totally. So I was like, man, should I call just to see what happens? See who I get, see what kind of person you get, because there's lots of different variations on this. Like the huge, crazy call center where once you hear that noise, you know that it's a scam because you hear like 10,000 people on the telephone at the same time. That noise?
Yep. Immediately. I hang up now. If I deign to answer it, which is a big one, because if I don't recognize a number, generally I'm not going to be answering it at all. But if I do answer it, and if there's a delay, you give me a 2 seconds.
I just hang up.
If I don't hear anything, immediately hung up. Or if I hear that boop, then that's a pretty solid sign too. I hang up. And yeah, all those cacophony of voices.
I can't use that method. If I'm if I'm getting a call from the answering service, I have to confirm it's not my answering service. It sucks.
Are you allowed to get a Google number and have it filter through the Google number? and use for the answering service. That way, if you know it's hitting your Google number, you know it's the answering service. And
No, I
therefore
haven't
you know
tried
it's not
that.
spam. Just a suggestion.
Yeah. I mean, they have my number. It'd be a pain in the ass to switch it up.
I got to send an email real quick. Sorry.
That's okay.
No problem. Oh, here's my latest scam, and I know we all got this, guys. Remember, but I, was most amused by it, I guess. It's an email received on January 14th of this year from Mr. Ben Collins, Director of Customs Airport Inspection in San Diego, California.
Oh, Evan, you sent this to me. I read the whole thing.
During our investigation, I discovered an abandoned shipment from a diplomat courier service from Africa under ship forward, transferred from JF Kennedy, blah, blah, blah. Basically, it says, my assumption, each of these boxes will contain more than $5.5 million, and the consignment is still left in the storage house. I want us to transact this business and share the money. So it's the old Nigerian spam scam. Redressed up and
there's boxes full of millions of dollars just sitting at JFK.
But the main question is, why the hell are they contacting Rando you? Why Evan?
No,
so what's the hook? What was the hook?
It was info at Skeptics Guide.
Oh, but how did you get it? You got it from info?
Yeah, I get all the info.
I didn't see that email come in. I didn't see that come
Oh, but Evan, what was the hook?
Oh, you mean what did they want you to do?
Yeah.
Want us to transact this business, blah, blah, blah. Let's
guarantee them. You have to guarantee them. I got one recently too. They wanted a guarantee of some money so that, because they're giving you like 70%. They're only taking 30%. So they want a guarantee.
Provide your phone number, your full address. We'll cross-check to see if they correspond with the addresses on an official document. And it's just a fishing, it's just like a fishing expedition, I suppose, more than anything. They want your name, they want your number, they want your address. That's what they're asking for. They didn't ask for me to pay any money. They didn't ask for my credit card or your credit card.
Yeah, so you didn't get deep enough in to know how they're going to get money from you. Yeah.
No.
And then just to hit one person, right?
Who's gonna fall for that specifically?
I guess old people, right?
I mean,
right.
Really? That
people who are a little compromised. Well, the thing
my
is,
mom would fall for it, hook, line, and sinker.
What? No.
Luckily,
what? We have $5 million in cash sitting in a box at JFK Airport. Come pick it. Come pick it up.
When you're in your 80s, you're not very. She doesn't know. I mean, I'm just luckily she's almost deaf and she can't even talk on the phone, so that's good.
Yeah.
And I tried. It's funny because I tried to get her on the. She asked me questions. Bob, how does this work? What's this? So I'm like, Mom, we could just look it up. I look it up, and she's always amazed at the information I have at my fingertips. I try to tell her, Ma, you could do this too. This isn't hard. You've got the world at your fingertips right there in your phone. But then part of me is like, maybe that's not such a great idea because letting her loose on the internet is also a little bit scary. And who knows what she could do. But so it's a weird push and pull. I'm not sure, how much to push her to get on the internet. Because, I don't know.
Yeah, she would be so vulnerable.
I mean, just today, somebody sent her a link to fibromyalgia because she's got fibromyalgia, and she's looking up. Bob, read this. Bob, look at this. Look at this. Like, oh my God, Mom, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. And like, she just runs with it.
I mean, is she asking you to filter the information for her, or is she buying it and saying, Bob, I'm excited by this?
Well, I mean, she basically believes most of what she reads. It's like, how could they say this if it's not true? Like, well, there's lots of things that they can say that's not true. That doesn't mean that they're going to get sued. Like the classic is the National Enquirer. How could they say that if it's not true? Well, and Steve and I try to explain to her, Mom, people don't sue for their egregious lies because you draw attention to yourself when you try to sue them. You just ignore it. That's how they can lie, but no one's going to sue them because it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And if occasionally it is, they pay it to cost of doing business.
Exactly.
They got to pay off somebody every now and then.
Yep.
That whole cost of doing business thing, it's like it's scary. Like with the amount of people that are alive today, you can make, if you hit on the right thing, you can make a lot of money doing a scam, and you literally don't have to worry about the ramifications because you have enough money to deal with it.
Yeah.
I hate that. It makes me very angry. Not as angry as I was 2 weeks ago, though.
You calmed down
yeah.
already, Jay?
Yeah, it took a little while.
The 2-week cool down program.
So there is a follow-up to that. You guys want to hear the follow-up?
Not really.
Oh boy. I do, Jay. I do, Jay. Go ahead.
The person that I got upset with, somebody knows that person. So there's somebody, I don't remember the person's screen name, but they were very, very friendly, saying, "Hey, I know that person. You may have, mistook their comment," kind of saying like, it was supposed to be a joke, I guess. My response was, well, if they were joking, then I obviously overreacted, but it's very easy to misread textual things, if you're not hearing someone's tone of voice. And overall, if that person is legitimately didn't mean to say something horrible, then I welcome them back, of course. But you also got to be responsible for what you say, because it's very easy to misinterpret a statement like that. You could literally 180 degree. It could be either taken in a funny way or it could be taken very seriously. So whatever, I already apologized about overreacting and getting as angry as I did, but I legitimately got that angry. It was all real.
My take is that, people on the internet, it's that social distance thing again, where they think they're just talking into the ether, and the normal rules of like social behavior are suspended in their mind.
Yeah.
And so you can't react as if they were like saying it to you. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a mild version of trolling, or just full on trolling. You're saying something because it's provocative, or you're unfiltered.
Yeah.
I did.
Somebody mentioned that I did ask them to apologize, and they didn't apologize. They basically said, "I'm sorry that you misunderstood what I said," or whatever. And it was not. That's the thing that pushed me over the top. That's when I really lost it, because it was like, wow, you can't even like own up to what you did. But again, if that person is listening tonight, like no hard feelings, like, we lots of judgments were wrong. Your judgment and your comment was wrong about the reaction to it, and my judgment to it. But again, this type of thing, it's very easy to, God, we spent years with, with all the political turmoil going on, reading things online and probably misinterpreting a lot of what people are saying, or taking things in a harsher way, or like you said, Steve, like you take it like it's directed towards you. It's very easy to personalize stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But bottom line is, I don't want there to be drama here. I really don't. And that was another thing that upset me. I don't want there to be drama in this space. This is like supposed to be fun, and it's supposed to be lighthearted as much as possible. It's good to blow steam off here, right? But I did not like getting into that zone. Like I really was like upset that it happened on the live stream, and that it happened here. Like it shouldn't happen here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do my best to keep that level of emotional intensity out, because it didn't feel good. I'll tell you that much.
It's okay, Jay. We had Ian initiate a switch to basically put you in the angry dome anytime that happens in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for Futurama fans, you'll know what the angry dome
Little
is.
taser.
So last week I wasn't here. My wife took me on it was a Christmas present. It was like basically my only Christmas present. We had a little weekend getaway, like a 2-nighter.
Sweet.
It was awesome. So she took me. I haven't gone in I think 17 years, but she took me snowboarding, and it was awesome. It was awesome. Like the first. So I rode a lot when I was younger, right? I think you all you guys probably remember. I used to ride all the time.
Yeah, Jay was awesome, man. He was so good. It's so funny, Jay, because I remember I went with you on the first day you ever went snowboarding. Was the first day I ever went snowboarding. I never did it again, and you took it and ran.
I loved it.
Close to like a really advanced snowboarder, and sucked.
I had a very interesting experience. You know, my brain, perfectly remembered how to snowboard, but my brain and body synergy was no longer there. So my brain was telling my body to do things that my body was no longer used to doing, I guess. It was a weird feeling because I really remembered how to snowboard. You know, I knew exactly.
The muscle memory wasn't there.
I guess that whatever muscle memory actually is, because I don't fully even understand what muscle memory is.
Yeah, it's not so much in the muscles. I mean, obviously you condition your muscles and you get the range of motion, everything. But what it really refers to is more your cerebellar memory. It's like it's subconscious
Cerebellar?
processing. Yeah.
That's the first time I've heard that word.
Really? You've never heard the cerebellum?
Cerebellum. Yeah, it's an unusual form of
cerebellum
it.
refers to the cerebellum.
Yeah, you're basically offloading it so that you don't have to think about it consciously. It's offloaded into, you know, low-level processes, so you don't have to think about it. And when you do start to think about it, you can't do it because it's like a
but I guess that's what that explains to what my experience was. So I already told Bob this story. So every run that I took, it was like a new module opened up in my brain. Like I'm like, oh, okay, I feel more comfortable about that now. Oh, okay, I could feel, you know. And then by like the fourth run, I can't believe it, but by like the fourth run, I was riding, I think, pretty much close to where I was 15 years ago.
Wow.
Like something changed in my head, you know. It's kind of
relearning a skill is much faster, even many years later. I just read a study about that. You know, that memory really is there, and it manifests mainly in how quickly you could relearn something and get back to where you were.
Yeah, I felt it happened in real time though. It wasn't like, oh, I spent a month relearning Spanish and I got my chops back up. Like, you know, I all of it came back to me in 2 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which was great. And now I'm like, oh man, it's a very expensive sport. You know, snow sports are expensive. So it's definitely something I can't do often, but you know, I'm already thinking about it a lot, and I definitely want to go riding again. So it was a ton of fun. My God, that sport is so much fun. It feels good. You know, it's one of those things. It's like, you know, I really enjoy downhill skiing. I enjoy water skiing, but there's something about the body movement with a snowboard that feels like it's almost like getting a massage. I don't know how to describe it. It just feels really good when your body moves that way. Very, very elegant sport. If you're, you know, up to it. Bob.
Yo.
How is your move going? Are you done yet?
Ooh. God, no. Oh my God. You crazy?
Like, what do you got going on at the house?
Well, it's, I mean, all the critical stuff is there. There's just little things. It's like all of my Halloween stuff is essentially still here because the basement's still decorated. It's just, you know, it's still, you know, it's still there, and it's fine for now. And it would be, I think I would cry if I had to take it down, but I will take it down. Just it's not a priority right now, but it will become a priority. And the problem is I got to figure out where I'm going to put it. I got to decide whether to buy a shed for extra storage. My lair above the garage is gonna be some storage because it's gonna be my, you know, my lair. But I'm gonna also store stuff there. But I got to get carpenter and all that stuff there first, so I can't even use that as storage yet until it's ready. So it's just it's frustrating. I go to Mom's house and I'm like, oh my God, you know, where am I going to put all this stuff? So it's just very frustrating. So I definitely got to, you know, I'll throw stuff away, give stuff away if I have to, but there's so much.
Well, you should have room in your place to store everything.
Dude, man, have you seen what I have?
Yeah, I mean, Bob, is there any way you can thin it out, or is that just not an option for you?
Think of that basement, Steve, with all that stuff, and that's just everything you saw at the Halloween party. I would say is maybe 50%, 60% of what I have.
Okay.
So it's a lot of stuff. There was stuff in storage in the back that you couldn't even see. So I won't know until I actually can bring it and see how it is stored, how much more storage space I'll need. I don't want to, you know, get a storage unit because that's like $150 a month. But if I buy a shed, a big shed, I could spend 10 grand and that would be like 6 years of paid storage. But it would be nice to have a really nice, good, say 10 by 20 shed. That would be nice. It'd be real nice.
Yeah.
But we're talking like 12 grand.
Hmm.
So it's frustrating. I'm not moved out fully at all. But my room, I'm in the room right now. It's 70% done, but there's just a lot of piddly stuff that's like, oh man, where am I going to put this? Nah, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
You'll sort it out.
Yeah, eventually. It's not going to be a quick process, but I got time. I come here to work almost every day to watch mom, make sure mom's all right. So every day when I go home after work, I take something with me, keep taking stuff.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it because you're going over there anyway, so you might as well not hurt yourself. You don't want to overdo it. Somebody said, Bob, you should dehydrate your collection.
Dry
That'd be
like,
awesome.
dry everything out.
Like Marvin the Martian with the dehydrated Martians. They add a little water and Martian pops up. Or Wile E.
cool.
Coyote. Did Wile E. Coyote have dehydrated boulders?
Sure, from
What did
Acme.
he have? Yeah, what did he had dehydrated? Yeah, I think it was boulders. It just had water.
So if you had a real bag of holding,
Oh my God.
Mhm.
I was thinking
would
about
be
this
on it
because you
somewhere.
brought this up at one point a few
Yeah.
shows
So
ago,
nice.
right?
Or a shrink ray would be nice too.
But wait, I want to tell you, a bag of holding, I guarantee you, for most people, it would turn into the biggest junk room in the world. Like I think you would opt to just not throw things away at that point.
Yeah. The only question
Yeah.
there would be access to what you need when you need it. The bag
Yeah.
of holding would be almost a waste of time if it would take you forever to find something. But if you could just say, if you think of something and then reach in and grab it, there it is, regardless of the size, right?
The best ones all
assume-
operate that way, Bob.
What's that?
Best ones all function that way.
All right, that's fine. But could you get something like my skeleton horse? Could I put my skeleton horse inside a bag of holding? It's life size. Would that go in a bag of holding, or is it meant for just stuff that's smaller than the
Is it
size?
limited
It's
by the
supposed to-
size of the aperture?
Usually,
I would say yes.
yes, because you
of
couldn't put
course.
a boat into it.
Yeah,
Well,
I
then
think
that's
that's too
yes,
big.
The opening is the limiting factor.
It's too
It
big.
would still be nice, but that would suck because there'd be a lot of shit I couldn't fit then. But
And very
know.
specifically, you cannot put living flesh in there. You can't put like a
Oh,
living
really?
creature in there. Yeah.
That's a
And
problem.
you can't put other things that also represent interdimensional spaces inside of it. You cause a rift or an explosion or something.
that makes
Like,
sense.
you can't put a bag of holding in a bag of holding.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wonder if that means that in Harry Potter universe, you can't put those TARDIS tents inside a TARDIS tent.
All right, I have a question about Harry Potter while you brought
Go
it.
ahead.
right.
Go for it.
I mean, doesn't cell phone technology exist in that? And why wouldn't
Yeah.
the wizards make use of more modern technology? A lot of muggle.
Well, that
Because
is
they-
part of the culture
Right.
that they don't get it. They are
Yeah.
so isolated and removed from modern technology. Like
But it
Hermione
would be
was
so
an
much more
exception 'cause
handy
she
in
grew
so
up-
many scenarios that
I know.
unfold in those books and those
I
movies.
know.
I loved
Like
when
there
the
are definitely
dad.
times when if you whipped out a gun, that would be, that would be
Yeah.
good.
Well, okay, I can almost get the gun part, but I mean, but we're talking about something that's non-lethal, non-controversial. It's a burner phone, for texting or whatever. I mean,
I
so
think it was just
basic.
cultural, Evan. If you think about like they lived in a secret hidden world and there really wasn't that much crisscross. It's like they were in a completely different isolated society,
Yeah,
and
they're
I
in a
know
bubble.
I know because
know.
but
Yeah,
you
but
would think
now-
that they get out enough, right? They're around enough. They all like walk in, like anybody that has a job there, like you see them walking into like public restrooms and then
Yeah.
flushing their way into the Ministry of Magic. They know what cars are, so they don't use cars, right? I know. I agree with you, but it's probably like, a mindset and a way that they operate.
It's a
as well.
cultural thing.
Take
I always
Hermione
remember-
for example, Hermione and her parents, right? Her parents were Muggles, right? She's the witch.
He's
Right.
a mudblood.
You're right. Yeah,
Speed.
right. She's a mudblood.
It's a
So
horrible
you
thing
know,
to say.
if you're a parent and this is your child, I mean, why wouldn't they have a cell phone with her, or something like that, right? It strains.
Because they find magical solutions to it. They don't. They would have some magical communicating gem if they needed it, whatever.
Yeah. It reminds me of, it makes me think, it reminds me of also Buffy the Vampire Slayer as well, because you would think that Voldemort or one of Buffy's enemies would just say, screw it. We're not going to do this the conventional way. Hire a sniper, set up across the street. Bam. Harry's gone, and Buffy is gone. I mean, it would have been such an easy kill. But of course, this is silly discussion. But I'm just saying, you think they would have tried that after a while? It's like, this person's unkillable. I'm going to go out, think outside the box, and hire a sniper. I mean, neither of them would have
Or
survived.
Bob, why don't vampires wear armor around their chest?
Yeah.
Right?
Around
Think
what?
about that.
I've
you
thought
wear
about it. I've thought
Yeah,
about it.
because
Way
you
ahead of
can't get a
man. Yep.
wooden stake through good steel chainmail. They're basically invulnerable at that
Not
point.
even
You have
that.
to-
Just to have surgery, cut them open, and then
Yeah,
wrap the
insert a
heart
plate.
in steel, close them up. They'd heal. They would probably, have no rejection issues. Done. Like
yeah,
But
can
it would be
vampires
very
get
easy.
infections?
Steve's totally right. I mean, if you think about how easy it would be to like wear something around your neck and put something that covers your front, back, and sides around your heart, so you can't easily be stabbed by a piece of wood.
right.
It would really solve a big.
Not going to be taken out by an errant splinter.
The problem with simple things like that is it brings you out, right? Then you're sitting there, instead of watching the show, you're thinking, well, this is stupid. Why don't they at least address it? The writers should be smart enough to address a simple solution like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could either explore, like, it would be fun if you had fiction that explored that, where you had vampires living in modern day, and they did avail themselves of things, like things that you would do if you were a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
yeah, they did do that one
Just
movie.
one throwaway line could address it, or a brief discussion. Like,
Yeah.
maybe it really hurts vampires to wear metal around their heart, or what it feels constraining or something. There's something about it that they can't abide. It's really, really uncomfortable. If you wanted to
one
keep them
line
vulnerable that way.
line could get rid of it. Steve, there was a movie. What was that movie? Where basically the entire world becomes vampires.
Yeah.
Except for some who didn't. And life is then just built around everyone being a vampire. It's a fascinating movie. I really enjoyed it. But they had scenes where the vampires would go out in daylight and they'd have head to toe armor on. And I mean, of course, duh. I mean, it's such a no-brainer thing. What was that movie? It was so good. Really enjoyed it. Daybreakers.
I remember that. Yeah. Is that the one where they wore sunscreen?
No.
I forget which one that was.
Sunscreen, actual
Not
sunscreen. Yeah,
Twilight or something. Not
yeah,
that
they
I
had
didn't see
sunscreen,
Twilight, but
or one of them they were wearing like motorcycle outfits, so their skin was completely covered. That might be the one you're talking about.
I like the vampire movie where the mob becomes vampires. They get made. So you have.
Sure, why not? It's a
yes.
system of
That,
organization.
if I remember, that had some really good stuff in it. That movie.
Yeah.
Speaking of the mob, have you guys ever seen the movie My Blue Heaven?
Oh my God,
Yes.
yes.
Oh,
With
yeah,
Steve
yeah.
Martin playing it. I mean,
You
when I
could melt all
Oh,
this
that is
stuff.
the best line of the movie. Oh my God. Hey, you shouldn't be here. She looks at him. Oh my God. I love that movie. It's so cheesy. It's good, right? Like it turns that corner very, very easily.
I haven't seen that in a dog's age. We should watch that again.
All right. So we have
Yes.
Ian is preparing our internet stuff that Bob and I found over the last couple of weeks. And there's a
Cool.
couple of really cool ones in there. Ian, you got anything on?
A
I
couple.
meant to look for some stuff today. I got busy.
You didn't? Okay, so we got a G-Force.
Busy.
Getting
Busy.
What's that?
We got this G-Force one. I don't know if the music is copywritten, so I'm just going to kind of
You don't even have to play any audio for any of this
Okay,
stuff.
I'll turn it down. We'll just look at the face. So here we go.
This is the guy.
What's he
I'm
doing?
assuming he's piloting the jet,
Yeah.
but he could be in the back. I don't know.
No, he's piloting an acrobatic jet, and
Okay.
he's basically making
Pulling
these
G-forces?
faces, and he's pulling G's. He's pulling some pretty damn good G's. So he's doing this,
He's breathing.
these breathing techniques. I think it's
Yeah.
called hick or hack
Kegels.
technique. And this is critical. I mean, these are critical techniques you've got to do so that you don't pass out. Because if you do your breathing and do it properly, it could save you from passing out, and you could withstand many more G's than you normally would. I'd love to see. You could tell from behind him what he's doing. He's doing some some pretty wicked stuff.
Yeah.
I read in the comments that the Blue Angels do not wear G suits
Why not?
because it would inhibit their accuracy and maneuverability. So they depend on that technique 100%. 100%.
So my understanding of how G suits work is that they're filled
compresses
with
bladders.
well, yeah, they're filled with fluid, so that as you pull G forces, the fluid gets
G-force.
pulled down to your legs and basically compresses your legs to keep the blood return going up to your head.
I thought
So
it
it's
was
not
air
perfect,
bladders.
but it's a partial compensation for the G forces. It's kind of clever, actually. But yeah, I guess I'm not sure what because it's just physically limiting to them. Is that the problem?
Yeah, they can't maneuver their plane as accurately. Think about what the Blue Angels are doing. I mean, their tolerances, for error are nothing compared. Are so much worse than conventional jets,
Yeah.
conventional fighter jets. You don't have to be flying with an accuracy of like within a couple of feet, like those performance acrobatics are doing. So you need ultra precision, and apparently the G suits inhibit that for whatever reason. So that's why they can't wear them. But fighter pilots, oh yeah, they've got the G suits on for sure, and so they could probably do many more Gs.
I didn't realize how hard it was. I guess I just never really thought about it. But
oh man, yeah,
seeing him do all that, and you can see him turning his head in a very specific way when he does a loop, I guess, to keep himself oriented. Because if you watch the video a couple of times, you'll pick up some more details about what he's doing. But it looks like physically vigorous.
Yeah,
you're not sitting there
Absolutely.
relaxed going like this with the stick. Like, I mean, you are all over that thing.
Yeah.
All right, Ian, what do you got next?
The next one is a video from Russia. I forget what the specifics are behind it, but I think it was just the extreme weather phenomenon, perhaps.
Okay.
Is this the pretty one?
Oh yeah, winter in. I'm sorry, not Russia, Romania.
Yeah, this
Romania.
I put this in
Romania, no, Roma.
It was one of the most beautiful things I've seen. Just take a look at how gorgeous this is.
Was this the mountains in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely don't play the music. Look at how painted those mountains look. It's just gorgeous.
That's a beautiful.
It's Rob Ross-ish.
It's very medieval. There's something really fantasy about that. I love it.
Yeah, that could have been in a D&D book somewhere.
We had a couple of other really cool ones.
Okay, so this I think piggybacks off. We showed a video previously of a human emotions on a robot.
Oh gosh,
see if it can overcome that uncanny valley.
2 weeks.
Here we go.
I love this.
Hi, I'm Johnny Cab. I'll be your driver.
Totally.
Although it's better than Johnny Cab.
That's pretty cool.
That's getting pretty good. It's all Uncanny Valley now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Johnny Cab's almost better in a way because there's no Uncanny Valley.
That's right. It's that's a mannequin.
Yeah,
right?
but you could tell they're like, okay, we're going to add these pressure point ways to move the fleshy part, whatever that material it's made out of, and then it's going to get more and more nuanced, and it'll take time, but there will be a time, I think, in our lifetime when we see a robot face and we can't tell the difference.
In our lifetime.
I don't know.
I think so. Robotics it's $1 billion industry, man. It's people, the money is completely there,
but we can't tell the difference. I mean, the subtleties are so fine. I mean, that's they may eventually get there in our lifetime.
I could be being a little hopeful, but I certainly don't think it's 50 years away.
I've seen examples that are better than what we just saw.
Yeah.
They'll get there. It's just a matter of time, and it will definitely be able to fool a lot of people before too long. Of course, the closer you get, it depends what the distance is. How far away are we talking?
Right. Yeah. There's that. Of quality of your eyesight. Well, plus, isn't it also in concert with the other movements of the body as well? Like, you know, let's say the head gets it down perfectly, if the rest of the body is not otherwise also moving perfectly, I think there'd still be a disconnect there.
Hello.
Somebody said that robotics is a $1 trillion industry, which, wow.
He's on the phone.
A $1 trillion industry? Yeah. Sure, I would believe that.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
All
right, guys. Can I say something real quick? I'm just going to
oh boy,
because I've spent all my time just typing pretty much answers to the puzzle here, and nobody's gotten it yet. So I'm just going to save myself a little typing time. I'm going to not type no for the 100th time. But I love that the answers are kind of flowing in, rolling in, especially on the Discord. Very, very creative stuff, but no one's got it yet. So I'm just
Earth from Mars.
It's not that. No.
Okay.
Jay or Bob, you want to take a crack at this?
Yeah, I mean, my first thought was that it's a picture on another planet, and that's the sun. You know, that intensity of the red there, though, I don't think any planet looks like that in our solar system. I immediately said to myself, you know, I don't think Evan would show an artist rendering for the puzzle. I'm just telling you what's going on in my head. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I really don't know what it is.
Bob, any thoughts?
Not much. I mean, it looks like velvet, you know, with a
what is that velvet?
Like luminous white dot on it. I mean, I can't remember. Oh, wait, move your head. Is there something to the left that I'm not seeing? Is it all this? Oh, okay, that's just a reflection.
Yeah, sorry, it's just a reflection.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I'm really curious. I have no idea what that could be.
It's the infrared background radiation or something.
Are we going to wait for Steve to come back before we do the reveal?
Oh, I think he's on the phone still.
He could be on for a while if he's on with.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be a.
Screw Steve. Do it.
You want to do the reveal?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So I'll do it this way. Let's see.
Welder's glass looking at the sun. Oh.
I'm going to adjust this picture a bit. All right. Let's see what happens.
It's moving.
Zooming out a little. Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Zooming out a little more.
No.
Nothing yet. Let's zoom
what
a little more.
What is it?
Oh, wait. The surface.
Bob?
Wait. So we're looking at the surface of like a red giant star, and you're looking at the corona. Now the corona is too red, and that's another star, like a binary star system. I don't know. I'm just riffing.
Yeah, let me zoom out a little more.
Let me get the photographer there.
Let me zoom out a little more and see.
It's a can of tomato soup.
How about that?
Spike proteins. Looking at some spike proteins. It looks like
spike proteins.
Or it could be a splash of water that was filmed with a super high speed camera, and that's the drop. It's a corona around the drop. Yes, nailed it.
That is the milk drop corona.
Yeah,
or coronet, I should say.
So, Evan, what is the horizon line we're seeing though? Explain that to me. Is that a table?
So yes. So this is a famous photograph, by the way. People now are just like, oh my gosh, it's like one of the most famous photographs in history. This was taken by Harold Edgerton. When did he do this? And this photograph was I should have written it down. 70s? I think it was in the 50s or 60s in which he did this. So he was a engineer at MIT who did a lot of advancements on high-speed photography, high-speed film, and then slowing it down so you could get very specific, you know, I mean, like the slow-mo effects that we all kind of see today, and that is still being utilized. Well, he sort of perfected it in a certain way and spent a lifetime working on getting these kinds of images and still in both films and still photography. So this is called the milk drop coronet. And it's considered one of the most famous photographs of all time.
Yeah,
all photographs ever taken.
I didn't know that. Never
Top 5, maybe.
Oh, 1957. Thank you, Discord chats for filling that in. But yeah, absolutely, this was quite an accomplishment at the time. You know, you basically had this one fellow who devoted his entire career to it was an engineering puzzle to him. He never considered himself an artist or, you know, a photographer per se, but he devoted basically his career into being able to capture these kinds of images in photography. And I mean, he spent decades and decades working on it to get these kinds of things to come out the way they did. So
Do you
this
know
is the
how
famous
many-
milk drop.
Do you know how many frames per second it was to get that?
6,000, I believe, is
Wow.
what I have in my notes.
And
Surely
At,
that's
at the
one.
time where he I believe when he was into this, like the highest frame rates that were capturing these at the time were about 250 frames per second, but that was not adequate enough for those absolute fine. Steve, you recognize this picture,
Yeah, oh yeah,
right? The milk drop Coronet,
yeah, 100%.
world famous picture, right? And so he managed to get it up to 6,000 frames per second. I think this was in the 1930s. He was able to do this, so he was kind of ahead of his time in a way. And the technology was used. Oh my gosh, it was used by. It was adapted for like underwater use and aerial use by the armed services during World War II. They used this technology for so many different things. What the hell? Stroboscopy. Using a stroboscope,
Mhm.
perfecting that technology. So that's what he did. That's what he worked on his entire life on.
That's cool.
now we're up well into the trillions per second, frames per second with various other techniques.
Right.
So
Right.
but he was a pioneer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. And most of it before the age of video, before video came along.
Mhm.
Very cool. I mean, I like learning about something that's famous that got past me that I never, like just for some reason never saw before. So that's interesting that I've never heard or seen this before.
Yeah.
You've never seen the milk drop before, Jay?
No,
Oh wow.
So speaking of frame rate, Jay, what's wrong with your frame rate today?
I don't know.
All right, Evan. So what the original image that you showed us? What is that white dot? Is that the reflection of the milk splash, or
He
what?
would control the droplets of milk coming out using
it's a drop
using a
of milk.
valve.
A drop.
Yep,
of milk.
and it was on a plate basically, about that big or so. It's just really zoomed in with and using the red background basically to
Make
for
the white
for the
stand out?
contrast.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that the white and the red would appear so vivid, and it's just like
All right, cool.
and it became recognized as like one of the most important pieces of photographic art in history.
All right, let's do the next thing, Ian.
Yep.
Okay, the next one I may or may not have posted early into the Discord chat. Shut up, everybody. Here we go.
Shut
Some
up.
body modification, if anybody's interested.
Yeah, this is
Pretty-
serious business,
Dude, man, that's just
Kinda
like
dope.
I don't know if
incredible.
it-
I mean,
You just get used
That's
to the
some
pain
serious
after a
pain.
certain amount, but
But why all black? Like this is the part that I don't get. I don't get it. I mean, I'm certainly not impressed with the artwork. I'm like
Mhm.
looking at it. I'm like, all right, so you got your chest is a big mouth with a flower in it, I guess. I don't know. Doesn't really do anything for me. I'm not.
Is it a sunflower or is that eyes? Can't tell.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a commitment, man. And
Commitment.
You got to be happy.
Even the
Touch
nips,
it.
not to draw focus,
Ouch.
but there's a
Yes,
little-
I didn't really.
there's some dedication there.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Yeah. So anyway, weird stuff. I think that's pretty
The
pretty
nips, not
out there.
nips.
There is another one that we have that is
reminds
funny.
me of Alien. Which
yeah,
one?
totally. There's a
Oh,
funny
the-
one. Yeah.
That one requires, I think, the
Music.
no the quote the quote of like the girl,
Yeah.
the little kid.
Yeah.
I think it's a little kid. I'm not sure. It's the video says my reaction when my grandmother tells me I'm a pretty boy, and
Okay.
here we go. Just classic meme. Classic.
Is
meme.
that all we
Is
get?
that-
one time?
That's it. That's all you get.
that's
It loops.
That's a
It's a
classic.
GIF, but or a GIF.
That cracks me
That's
up.
ugly.
GIF.
Wrong.
It's a GIF. A GIF and a WAV
Jiffy.
file. Don't forget to record your WAV file.
Was that all of them, Ian?
That's well, there was one, but I think I'm not allowed to show that one, so we're gonna
Okay.
keep
Oh.
on moving forward.
Not
Keep,
suitable.
keep
for
it light. Keep it light.
Photons, baby.
Very good.
Photons.
Is
Very
what are you guys doing this weekend?
Well, I'm doing the show tomorrow.
Yes.
I'm going to a concert tomorrow night with Rachel in New York.
What band?
Falling in Reverse is the name of the band.
So what
And the opening act is a group called Wage War. which Rachel's a
Standing
big,
up.
big fan of Wage War. She likes Falling in Reverse as well, but she's huge on Wage War. You know, metalcore.
Definitely.
Yeah, she's looking forward to it. She's all excited.
You got VIP?
No, there was not VIP for this one, so we're just going through the normal channels. Just bought the ticket and wait in line and get in.
Oh my God. I would be, that kind of, I don't know. I mean, I feel like you are doing your daughter a solid with all these concerts. It's a lot of work. You're a good dad.
Yeah. You know what the shows themselves are a lot of fun. It's fun to see her enjoying herself and interacting and talking to people in the crowd and all that. I like this. I very much like the social aspect of it all.
Yeah.
The hard work, frankly, is the drive getting there, finding the parking, waiting in line, and also remaining on your feet pretty much the entire time because she's always, in the pit, front and center, wanting to be as close to all the action as possible. So, there are times we go to these things and if there is like VIP beforehand or something like that, you have to get there early and you're waiting in that line before the actual concert line. You could be on your feet for 10 hours straight.
Yeah.
At some points, we've definitely done 2 p.m. to midnight without really having a chance to take a good seat other than sitting on the floor.
Yeah. That's love, man.
Yeah. Well, this is what she loves to do. And I like that she, shares it with me. And
definitely.
It's our thing.
I mean, but I would find that to be unbelievably painful to go see a band that I would be dying to see, let alone, I'm sure you're not like into all these bands because, you're not spending the time listening to them like she is.
Not like she is. No.
Yeah. But
I know
that's
some
good.
of their stuff, but she's, front to back and every which way. Yeah. Into them.
Evan, she will never forget this.
I know that. No, I know that. I was a big concert fanatic when I was also a teenager. I tried to get to as many concerts as I possibly could. And my parents didn't take me, it was going with my friends or in some cases just myself going there. So, whatever, maybe I've way past that down to her, that love of the live music show. I've seen, with all the shows I've seen with Rachel now, I'm well over 300, probably between 300 and 400 concerts of various kinds in my lifetime.
Damn. Did you keep anything from
Bob? Bob,
yeah,
I kept everything. I kept all those ticket stubs and so many other things and memorabilia and stuff. But I kept it at one point, I packed it. I kept it in a box, Bob.
Yeah.
Along with some other like old books and stuff that I had. Somewhere when I made a move in 1996, 97, I lost track of where the box went and I could never find it again.
Oh, no.
I have a feeling I left it at like one of my old apartment in here, in town before I moved into my first house, Jay, the house you helped me with.
Yeah.
I think I lost it somewhere in about that time frame and it makes me sick even to this day.
Well, speaking of keepsakes, I'll be right back.
Okay. Evan, you know what's funny about that house? I live very close to that house.
I know. We could have
Isn't
been
that nuts?
Yeah, we could have been, 5-minute drive from each other.
That would be awesome. I wish somebody that I know lived that close. I would love to have someone that's like literally like 2 miles down the road.
And your town, my former town, we know about, it's sparse. It's, the large acres, property. Your neighbors are, you're not anywhere really near your neighbors in a sense. It's very spread out.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have that disconnect sort of feeling. You do feel a bit isolated. And it's not a very big town either. So yeah, the more people that you were able to know in a town like that, the cooler in a way it would be. Yeah, sorry about that, Jay.
It's changed a lot since you were here. I mean,
they didn't have a high school when I was living there. Think of that. No high school in the town.
Anybody guess what it is?
Those are all of your lanyards from all the.
Those are your 1991 MC Hammer puffy pants. Oh, you got all your lanyards.
Almost every conference that we've spoken at.
Whoa.
Like here's one, TAM 13. Look at that.
Yeah.
Bob. That was the last one.
I kept all mine as well.
Oh man.
That's great, Bob.
Sycon.
Did Rachel send it to me?
This is Dragon Con. Bam. That's Liz's.
Bob, hold it up so I can see it on the camera again. I want to get a sense of how many there are.
AAA.
I mean,
Wait.
this is all SGU?
This is all the conferences we've gone to.
Oh my God. That
Dragon
many.
Con,
Yeah,
That many.
Cam, AAAS, Sycon.
Wow.
Lots of them.
Very cool,
Totally.
Bob. I'm glad you saved those.
Oh, yeah.
I've saved mine as well.
I probably missed the first few until I realized, oh, I'll save these. Another thing to save.
Yeah, I wish I know I have probably about a quarter of them. Definitely kept some of the TAM ones.
Here,
All right.
Ian,
Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna put a picture in the private chat. Maybe you can post this before we get off this subject real quick.
Okay.
Hang on, let me grab it.
Sorry.
Bear
We
with
should
me.
play a game of can you remember a memory from one of those events?
Yeah, right.
Shuffle it and be like, okay, what happened?
Let's see.
There
luck.
are tons of conferences I'm sure I will have no memory of.
Yeah.
I can't seem to get it in there.
I don't think you can drop.
I can't drop
think you have
photos in
to-
there?
Yeah, no, you
Just
gotta
email
Alright.
it to him.
send me.
Yeah, I'll email it to you, and then maybe
I'll-
next week.
I won't change the subject until we get to this.
Oh,
Don't
you're so kind.
you dare.
Waiting for me. How nice are
We'll
you?
just sit here in silence. Until
Yeah.
I
So
get an
Bob
email.
finally got a new car.
Mm.
Now,
Is
Ooh.
it brand new or is it used, Bob?
it's a 2-year-old lease with 4,300 miles on it, so it's basically new. I mean,
Yeah.
smells new.
Yeah.
4,300 miles is nothing. Yeah, I love it. Subaru
Yeah, I wanted to know.
Outback.
I wanted to know if you like it. It's good. I'm glad you're.
Oh yeah, it's a great
doing it.
car.
I've waited
Yeah.
as long as I could, and I'm at the point now. Like I got to buy a car very soon. So I might use that service that you use. So you use a concierge, Bob? Is that what they call themselves?
It's a that's one of the they go by a few names, but basically they do a lot of the drudge work now, the annoying stuff. I just did not want to deal with the dealership, and as you know, I didn't want to deal with them at all because it's just such a game. They try to tack on so much shit. It's so annoying. So I used a Car Pal, which is a service to handle a lot of that stuff, and also finding the car itself. You know, based on what I wanted, they searched all over to get the car that I wanted, and they weren't cheap though. They were $900. So that's not cheap. That's a lot more
Yeah,
expensive
but they
than I
say
thought.
it's more about what they save you than what they cost.
Exactly. So I think they probably saved me $1,500 to $2,000. And it's just, and even if they didn't save me anything at all, it would have been worth it because it would just save me a lot of time and headaches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So someone mentioned it in the chat, and this is true that a lot of dealerships are straight up just adding like $3,000 or $10,000 to car prices.
Oh yeah.
Because the market's out of control right now.
Yeah, as I was going through this process, they added a 3,000 to 4,000 car market adjustment because basically they're in such demand. They said, all right, we're going to tack on $3,000 and $4,000 because we will sell them. And
That's
so
right.
just
If you don't
Market
buy it,
adjustment.
someone else will pay for it.
market adjustment. I mean, of course, you know, the price is affected by demand. I mean, that's kind of obvious, but it's, you know, it's like, give me a fucking break. You're not making enough money. You got to add $3,000 and $4,000 right now because of the markets. It's just frustrating.
If I can't get a car for MSRP, I'm not going to give a dealership $3,000 just because that's it. Like there is, I'd rather drive a car made out of mud than give a dealership $3,000 for no reason.
Jay, if you're expecting to get MSRP now, you're not going to get a car. Basically,
Yeah, I guess
you're
you're
not going
right.
to get one.
I'll wait then. I will continue to drive these until it gets lethal. I'll continue to drive what I have. Like I'm not doing it. There's no way that would. I have never been in a position in my life where I can just add $3,000 to some service I provide. What a scam. I'm not doing it. No, I am not going there. I am not.
Not
we
gonna
order-
do it.
I'm not
Supply and
doing it.
demand. I mean,
So should we order cars from Amazon from now on? Is that
I don't know.
Ooh.
I did drive an EV.
Amazon.
You know,
Yes.
I was trying to make the EV thing work, and it's not going to work because straight up they're too expensive.
Yeah,
They're just too expensive right now.
when I filled my tank, the car that I was using, when I filled the tank and it cost over $60, I said, "Screw this shit." I looked seriously for an electric car. I wanted an electric car that had really good cargo space and was 5-star safety, and not crazy money. Could not find it. So I said, all right, I'm not going to get an electric car this time. I really would have gotten one, but I couldn't find it. I mean, I didn't do a week-long deep dive, but my searches yielded nothing that met those criteria. So next time for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe, I could conceivably sell this car in a few years, get a decent price, and get an electric car. I might consider that.
So
But couldn't do it now.
A person in the chat named Randall said the Ioniq 5. Yeah, I was all over that. I wanted to get one of those, but they're very expensive. And there's a couple of things about them. There's a lot of things about that car I love, like the 18-minute recharge from 10% to 80%, like unbelievable.
Wow.
Quick recharge.
Wow.
Yeah, it's got
Does that affect the life of the battery?
Supposedly not, from what they're saying. And the car is really cool. They made very cool design decisions, and it's very ergonomic, tons of space and everything. It's just too expensive. That's what it boils down to. I mean, I would love to get one of those. It has good range, everything, but I can't swing it. It's just too much money.
Oh, while Bob's holding that up, here is Evans.
Yeah. So that's Rachel's collection of lanyards from all the shows and VIPs and things that she's been to. She's on her 4th hook. She's already that 4th hook to the left is actually kind of overstuffed. She needs a 5th hook on her wall to hang them all. But she proudly displays them in her room. You should see the rest of her room. It's almost like a museum between all the posters and the things that and the set lists and all that the bands all give her and stuff, and signed artwork, and it's cool. It's cool.
Mhm.
I go up there every
cool.
once in a while. Okay, Rachel, show me your next thing. What you got? Oh, okay. I was sent this by this band. They sent me this artwork and they signed it and I put it on the wall over here. She's running out of wall space. She loves her music.
That's good. Good for her, man. I mean, I respect the idea of someone really getting into something, developing a real appreciation or whatever. It could be a hobby or whatever. I love seeing people really into something. It's just great.
Yeah,
she's
if you're not passionate about something, that's
Yeah.
then something's missing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So something's got to get you up in the morning,
Empty
right?
spot.
somebody asked me if I had a lanyard signed by Randy, and there you go.
Oh yes, I have one as well. Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
Cool.
I love it. Yeah.
Although I don't think he physically signed it. I think that just printed that
stamp?
way.
Was it stamped?
He did one signature, and then it was reproduced. I think. I don't remember. That's going back.
Pretty.
I watched him sign things in his, some of his latter years. Certainly, I watched him, sign autographs and stuff. His penmanship was excellent.
Excellent.
It was excellent.
All the way. I know.
He totally lost art of of cursive penmanship. I mean,
I have a ton of Randy signatures. I have them on all different kinds of objects. I mean, I've been, we've been with him so many times. So Meatloaf died today.
What?
Yes.
Yep.
No
There's
way,
only
man.
74, I think.
Right.
Guess how he died, Bob?
Oh, did they announce it? I didn't
On
even see
the
it.
toilet, like
It leaked.
Presley?
He died of
Out
COVID
of hell.
for being an anti everything.
No.
Really? Oh shit.
Yes. Anti-vax,
No. Wait.
The
Really?
mask.
hoax, all
I
that.
knew he was a little wacky. He was like
Jesus,
right
man.
later in life.
So-
He kind of got a little.
It's sad, like I appreciated some of that guy's artwork, his music, and I liked him in a couple of
Lived
movies.
here in Connecticut.
But I mean, it's a pathetic way to die. It really is. There's no other way to put it. Like you want to reject science, and you're going to die from something that 100% is preventable from dying. Pretty much, almost 100% preventable from dying from.
Fucking ridiculous, man.
Yeah, and oh gosh, and they've interviewed people. I've read the interviews of people who have been sick in the hospital, who did not get the vaccination, caught COVID. Where a lot of them are saying, "Oh my gosh, I should have gotten I should have gotten the vaccine.
Yeah, not all of them, but
Not
some
all of them.
some
Obviously,
definitely
it's not,
express regret.
there
Oh, wow.
is, and of
That's
course,
how powerful your denial is.
Chat just said Louis Anderson also died.
Yeah,
He
Louis
did.
Anderson
No
died.
way.
Yeah, the
He did.
comedian. He was
Yeah,
fine.
Jesus.
but his was cancer. I
Yeah,
think I
maybe.
read.
Yeah,
He was funny.
he was a funny dude.
Definitely funny.
Cancer. It says.
Fucking
Yeah.
cancer, man.
All right. Well, deaths come in threes, so say the numerologists. So
Just gotta wait until the third
Bob
one happens.
Saget, right?
just gotta wait. You just have to wait another day or two until the third. You know,
Did we mention Bob Saget from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob Saget.
Bob Saget about a
Yeah.
week ago.
How did he
right?
die?
I don't
He
think,
died
I think
of
they're doing an
pneumonia.
autopsy. I don't think they.
Steve
Steve.
What do you say? Die of
I
laughter?
don't know. I don't know.
died of
how he died.
moida.
No, Moida.
Wait a-
Yeah, I know that there was no formal announcement of how Meatloaf died, but it leaked out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was reading that this morning. I mean, Bad Out of
Yeah.
Hell is just an all-time album.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
forget it. It still is good today, as far as
Such an
I'm concerned.
operatic masterpiece.
Oh,
without a
yeah.
doubt. And that
Yeah.
album cover art. I mean, you could visualize it
Oh.
right now. Like I
Yeah,
can see
it's
the
almost
entire
that
thing in
blood
my
red
head.
kind of
yeah.
Yep.
to it. That hellish, that hellscape. Oh,
I said to somebody today, I'm like, look, man, if he could get himself famous for being, looking at the persona that he had, calling himself Meatloaf at that time in society, those people like that very rarely were becoming famous. He got famous because that guy was a hell of a songwriter and a hell of a singer. It was all, his talent was just too powerful to not earn something from it. And I totally respect that. I mean,
he
you break
collaborated with Jim Steinman, I believe was the musician's name, who did a lot of the sort of orchestral-like arrangements and all that. That movie-ish theme that a lot of his songs had. So Meatloaf sang it, but Jim Steinman was the composer of that. And Jim Steinman went on to have a huge career composing all sorts of work for all sorts of great artists after he split with Meatloaf. The two of them, you just find so many times in music history that these artists will come together and form this incredible collaboration that yields just
Yeah, there's
magic.
a synergy.
Absolute magic.
And I was just talking to my wife about that because we were watching the Beatles documentary. You guys been watching that?
Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
watching it. It's fascinating.
it's on
awesome.
Apple TV.
just fantastic.
Just the question, because like Paul McCartney was such an amazing songwriter,
Oh my God.
and obviously he had some hits with Wings, but there was
It wasn't the same.
nothing like his masterpieces he had with the Beatles. And why is
though?
that?
Why?
Yeah, why? That's the question. What was it? There's
First off, how
just some
true is
creative
that?
milieu with with
John?
the Beatles, with John Lennon, that he just was good but not epic with that by himself.
Or
If
maybe
only George
he
Robb were
shot-
here to answer these
Yeah,
questions.
George knows
Yeah.
a lot about
Yeah,
this.
he could have shot his wad. I mean, Steve,
Call
there are some.
Ian, email him a link.
Okay.
There's some disciplines, like if you look at, say, some of the sciences. I'm just riffing. I remember reading this. I don't know how really strictly true it is, but if you look at a lot of the great contributors to like mathematics, physics, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them did a major contribution, like at Einstein, like in their 20s and 30s. And once you get past that, it's like you don't see nearly as much as you see from a given person that they contributed early in their life.
I agree. I think it was his
similar
age.
for some reason, or maybe that's just a ridiculous statement. I don't know, but I'm just throwing that out there because
But there's a few things to consider here, and I'd be very curious to hear what George has to say. But
yeah, let's get him
first
on.
of
Put him
all,
on now.
Early on, Lennon and McCartney wrote a lot together, right? But these two guys independently wrote a lot of the Beatles songs, and they would bring them to the band. And of course, the band would fashion a lot of the stuff together, which I think was part of the magic, of course.
Yeah.
But, they were writing tons of songs, they just kept churning out good songs. And you watch Get Back and you see them create songs on the fly. And, like Paul is just noodling around on the bass and comes up with the bass line for Get Back and the basic, melody. It just happened in an instant, you know. I think as people get older with music, it seems like music, it's very hard to write good music as you get older. I don't know why. It just seems like that's the way that it works. I mean, there are definite examples that go against that, but it seems like the best music that people write is their earlier music for some reason. I don't know why. Ian, send George a link.
I
He's
did. I
waiting.
didn't actually know he was in the chat until.
Yeah, I'm serious.
I
He's
know.
there. He's
I
waiting.
sent it. I sent it like to.
I'll throw this out though before George gets in here. Hopefully he joins us. But George Martin was the producer of the Beatles, and I think Steve, maybe part of the answer to that question was the talent that George Martin had in finding the best of them that and got the most out of them in the studios to go down on the albums. I know I don't claim to be an expert on George Martin. I've seen some documentaries about him and stuff, and he was like considered like all-time great. So his talent, he was considered the fifth Beatle. Absolutely had at least
It wasn't
something
Peter
to
Best?
do with the reason why McCartney, Lennon, actually the four of them gelled the way they did.
Yeah,
It
I
had
mean,
to be George Martin as a part of
as
that
a
equation.
producer, I mean, a producer has an unbelievable and typically does have an unbelievable amount of sway over what's going on in the recording studio. And I'm not going to pretend to be a Beatles expert. It really seemed like from this video that they were doing everything on their own. I know that he was gone at that
As
point.
we have Ringo here. Hold on.
Yeah.
There he
There
is.
Hello,
George, what's up?
Answer the
What's
question.
this thing called? Lou?
Oh my gosh, really?
Talk to
Feeling-
us.
He's
Tell
feeling-
us what's happening.
You just all you have to do is just snap your fingers, click your heels, tighten your butt cheeks for a second, and I
There's
appear.
no place like George. There's no
Somebody
place
said,
like George.
"Summon
God, your
George,
face makes
activate."
me happy, George.
Oh, likewise. Hi, boys.
Hey,
So what are we talking about? What are
tell
we?
us why. Tell
We're
us
talking
No.
about yellow mustard, your favorite subject.
Perfect. I gotta go. I just gotta. That's it.
We don't have to make it a general thing yet. Specifically, why do you think that the Beatles music that
Yeah.
they did, their solo music, wasn't as good as when they were the Beatles?
Well, here's the thing, because you were talking about the Get Back documentary and stuff, and it's kind of fun to watch it in real time happen. You always do something better when you collaborate. That is almost like a de facto rule. You always do something better when you collaborate. When you collaborate with people that really push you and that you respect, it's even better. When you collaborate with people that you are in competition with on some level, that you respect, that really push you, that's when the best stuff happens. So the fact that Paul's there with John, and they're trying to, in the nicest way, outdo each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why that collaborative stuff is always going to be great. Plus the fact that, like Jay said, as you get older, you do kind of use up your primo stuff on some level. Everything about the Beatles at that point is such a culmination point where they're not only in their own creativity.
storm.
I mean, it's perfect storm because they're 26, 27, 28, which is insane.
Nuts.
I
That's
know
crazy.
how young they
That
are.
I can't even quite really kind of come to terms with the fact that when Paul McCartney was done with the Beatles, he was 28, which is like, what? How is that even a thing? But so personally, as human beings, in terms of like their most creative, the capacity to sit and write something for 6, 10, 12, 18 hours, or like have that kind of drive and passion. They're not quite ensconced in their family responsibilities yet. And then culturally, they're allowed to do that. They have the funds to kind of allow themselves to work on a song. I mean, a band never gets a chance to just essentially go into a studio and just make shit up for as long as you need to. Whereas the record company and the producers here know, like, just let them do their thing. The fantastic thing about Get Back is how much they're not working on songwriting.
Yes,
they're just playing tunes.
But that's an important part of it, though. If you think about it.
Absolutely. And that's to Martin's credit and to everybody that's, to the Apple Corps people and to, all the people that are involved in the production of it, that they can just say, let them do their thing. We're going to get something out of it. Just at this point, 7 years in, 6 years
Get
in.
Back.
They got the street cred. Come on.
Yeah, they've got the proven track record. Let them. Here's an environment, and that it just amazed me. Let's create an environment where these guys can just sit and bullshit for 10 hours a day if they need to, which is another thing too. They're always there. They're there 10 in the morning. Ringo's the first one there.
Mhm.
Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Good
Yeah.
morning. Good morning.
Yeah, no, he's awesome.
10 a.m. They're there ready to
John's
go.
late.
John's late. He rolls in eventually, and they start doing their thing. But it's this environment of let's let these creative people who are on some level at their absolute peak, allow them to we've built this entire structure, this foundational structure for them to be able to do this creative. It's like a laboratory. It's like anything. What do you call it? Where you have a bunch of people working on something.
Think tank.
This sort of think tank. There's another word for it. Not a collab, but like a
kind of like a collaborative orgy. Is that it? Collaborative orgy.
There's a word for it. Where like a bunch of coders go and they sit together and they write stuff in a house.
Yeah. It's
What's that called?
Oh yeah.
Somebody in the chat's got to know it.
It's like a nursery or
The bullpen. The bullpen. The creative.
Shoot, what's the word? It's not a consortium.
No, I know. I have them right there.
You know what I mean? It's like
association.
Anyway, it was
you
one
watch
of those.
Silicon Valley. They had it on
Exactly. Some kind of tank. Some kind of not a think tank, but incubator. Mike, who said it? Mike. Somebody said it. It was an incubator. It's this perfect incubator where you put geniuses in there, and then on top of it, Paul on his own didn't have Ringo sitting there enthralled by the process. You watch Ringo, and Ringo he's in love with everybody. Because he's just like, these are the best people in the world. And I'm going to, as soon as you need something rhythmic, I'm going to support. And I'm just going to sit here in the back.
He was quiet. He was so quiet.
Absolutely quiet. And he's like this drumming robot that you can just call on. Like, okay.
Press the Ringo button.
Was upset at George Harrison.
What the fuck? He walks out.
Bob, he deserved to walk out.
He was difficult.
Those two,
to work with,
Paul and John, stuffed him in a fucking corner for 5 years, and he grew up in the band. By the time that we're watching them and Get Back, he is a fully realized musician who is bleeding songs out of his fingertips. Like, the guy is fully capable. And
talk about writing better than he would have on his own. I mean,
definitely.
You're in a band with two of the greatest songwriters of the 20th century. What do you got? And it's like, okay, well, here's something. Oh my God, that's an amazing song. Here Comes the Sun. Oh my God, he would never come up with that on his own without being pushed that way. But remember too, they're kids. Yeah. Of course he's going to get up and walk out. He's 25.
I know.
And now
you keep that in mind. I don't want to be here.
We're all very
we're not the iconic Beatles of like, do we realize what we're doing? It's a Tuesday. He's just like, screw this, man. Why would
I know it's frustrating looking back, knowing what they have, knowing everything, and thinking, dude, get a little perspective.
Totally.
I mean, but of course they're kids. They're in the middle of it.
That's the other thing. Like, the number one thing that I pulled from the whole Get Back documentary, the 9 hours of it, is that we collectively as a society owe Yoko Ono an apology.
I've always thought that. She was the scapegoat.
She was an absolute scapegoat. All the misogyny, all the international she was just there. Of course, John, who is madly in love, wants to hang out with his girlfriend. Of course he does. Absolutely, And what? She's just sitting there. Like, it's almost like a performance piece. It's almost like the Abramovich, the artist is present. There was this a performance artist, a woman. She's amazing. She did this thing where she just sat in a museum for like a week and just greeted people. Like, she just sat in a chair 12 hours a day and greeted people. It's kind of like that. Like the precursor to that sort of performance piece where she's just there, she's knitting, she's sewing. No one ever brought up the fact that George had two Hare Krishna guys in the back. Did anyone ever say, the Hare Krishna guys broke up the Beatles because he brought these Hare Krishna guys?
Yeah, you're totally right, George. I mean, and at one point, Paul jokes around about in the future they might actually blame Yoko.
He literally says 50, wouldn't it be funny 50 years from now if they're saying Yoko broke up the band because she sat on my amp? And we're literally doing that, watching it on Disney 50 years later.
Weird. So I want to bring up another thing that is a part of this puzzle. It's very important to acknowledge the fact that they became musicians when they were young teenagers. So they had been playing largely with each other. Ringo was, I think, the last person to come in, but these guys had been playing and writing and writing and writing and writing.
They went to Germany, Jay. They did 6 hours a night.
Yes,
six to 7 days a week for a year and a half.
in
that's
the corner of a
nuts.
cafe.
Not even a cafe like this. I mean, it's called the Rat Killer. It was like this. It was a shithole.
It was a shit.
And they were doing 5 to 6 hours a night.
So that
of playing music.
This adds to the perfect storm
For
because
an audience?
they became incredibly good at two things: writing songs, because they just kept writing song after song after song. So their chops became excellent at writing music, and these guys could communicate to each other with nonverbal communication. And anybody that's in a band understands what the nonverbal communication is. There is something about it that enhances your connection to the other players, where things can come about all on their own just because of that nonverbal communication. And those guys literally were together for a decade, or more. They
George,
had that in spades.
What do you think about this? Because I agree with all of that, and that was my sense as well. There was some magic, chemistry going on, and you get away from that, and it's not the same. But I also think when you start a new band and you're freaking, Paul McCartney, you're surrounded by yes men for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You are never going to have the kind of relationship that you had with people who were with you from before you were famous.
Yeah.
Yes, Steve.
Right? Do you agree with
Can't go
that?
back.
Every Star Wars
Steve, you're
film
right. Yes,
gets
Steve.
worse. Every Star Wars film by George Lucas gets worse. Why? Because he has more and more autonomy as it goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
George Martin too, with the Game of Thrones, it's like
at
some point the editors.
I was like
careful.
the Beatles guy.
George Martin.
George R.R. Martin. Right.
George R.
It's
Martin.
the classic.
Devil's Advocate, Paul Simon. I mean, he's better
Point.
So
without Garfunkel.
Oh yeah, okay. Well,
but that was a very incongruous relationship to begin with, though. That wasn't a 50-50 relationship.
Okay, then how about Genesis versus Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins? I think they're better separate.
The whole Genesis story is a remarkable.
The Genesis story is interesting because you have these divergent paths that sort of occur between those two bands, where when Peter Gabriel leaves, the style and the genres sort of modify themselves so that Peter becomes more like the art rock, still accessible. Genesis has this kind of like prog, sort of out English chamber prog kind of vibe, very very English, very, very United Kingdom kind of feel. And they split. Genesis kind of goes more into the pop vein. And not, I think, as a conscious thing, but just I think their influences started carrying through because they were fans of Phil Collins is a huge Motown fan. He loves Motown. He loves those songs and that kind of stuff. So he starts writing more in that direction. Peter Gabriel goes off and sort of starts experimenting with technology in different ways. People always talk about like drum machines, like how terrible drum machines are. And I always say a great example is look at Genesis. Genesis splits off. And they both, in the writing process, start using drum machines. Genesis sort of gets cheesier and more straightforward, or more poppy or whatever, whereas Peter Gabriel is using drum machines in this weird-ass way where he's making these bizarre rhythms and doing stuff with it creatively and not just sort of as a crutch. So it's nothing to do with the machine. It's what the person does with the machine that really determines it. But totally. And then Genesis, it's like a different band. It's like they essentially broke up and became different
bands. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Through their 3 or 4 different or 5 different incarnations, even though it was still called
in a few years they morphed into something really entirely
completely
different.
which is very impressive to be able to maintain an audience for the 50 years they did or 40 years that they did or the hits that they did. It's an evolution. Rush is another great example of that. Like I think their success is because they weren't just playing that same thing that they did all throughout, and they maintained this kind of audience, and so you have these eras of that band. And I think bands that have eras tend to be more successful because you get new fans at each era, and then you sort of reinvigorate old fans, and then you can revert back. And so like Rush ends up at the end of their career being much closer to what they were at the beginning of their career than they were in the middle of their career, which is kind of cool.
They come full circle.
The Beatles never, as they progressed and as their songwriting changed, and they changed with the times as well, as much as influencing it, they were influenced. But to me, they never fell off or never got to like that bad fifth album. You know, there's a lot of bands that like lose it after a certain number of albums. They no longer are in the cutting edge of their songwriting, and they kind of
Clash falls into that category.
yeah.
in
Like
my book.
it happened.
It's
even,
hard, man.
Even
It's
to
hard.
Billy Joel, like Billy Joel's songs just became cheesier as he got older. You know, like they just didn't hold up to his earlier music, in my opinion, to his earlier music. That's common. Most bands I like that stayed and wrote music long enough fall into that. And I think that's something that just happens.
And then you have a band like AC/DC that has not changed
Oh my gosh.
one iota in
Haven't
50
taken a
years,
lick.
and
Or
they're
Kiss,
just as
right?
awesome. You know, Kiss is another interesting. I was never a huge fan of Kiss,
Nah,
but
I
I
was
like
a
the
Kiss
Kiss. I like the Kiss story because it's just so
AC/DC's
weird.
better music, definitely.
Yeah, I think AC/DC in
Better
terms of what I
example.
just
Oh, hell
appreciate.
yeah.
But you listen to Black Ice, which is what from 5-6 years ago. I mean, it's the same as the first Ace, apart from the singer being different. It's the same riffs. It's fantastic. I'm kind of like, this is what we do. Cake is another band that's like that.
Yeah.
Cake, if you take
So
like
good.
Cake's 5 albums, they're basically one gigantic record that kind of you just see this. And it's like, this is what we do. And I think there's a certain appeal to that too. I personally like the thing where you stretch out and you do, oh, this is kind of our reggae record. This is like us trying to sound like what's sort of on the radio now. But this is now we're going to experiment with this other stuff. Peter Gabriel's a good example. Rush is a good example. I mean, even, Sting going through the 3-piece of the Police and realizing there's only so much I can do as a songwriter and producer with these 3 instruments.
Yeah.
I got to go expand and make a bigger band, and you see his kind of progression.
But it was a good time for him to end the band because their last album, as much as I like it, it is by far, in my opinion, their weakest album. Not
For
from
the
a
Police?
pop, not from a pop perspective, but from a quality. Why do you like? Could you stack? I mean, this is a different conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're approaching the end.
Because I could start naming songs and stuff like that. I don't know if the
Yeah.
audience wants to hear any of this, but I definitely feel like they're going down the other side of the hill on that album, in my opinion.
It's hard to say. I don't know. I thought they managed to stay, relevant and good throughout. I mean, you could look back. I don't know if it's really a pattern. Some albums you like better than other albums. But that's again, I think a lot about Sting's career versus the Police. The Police again had a magic that, as much as I love Sting's solo career, it was different, and it just wasn't the same magic that I fell in love with the Police.
Definitely not. Yeah, they had just like the Beatles. They had an absolute synergy now.
Totally.
Well, again, Sting and Stuart Copeland were constantly at each other's, throats.
Yeah.
Too fast, too slow, too up, too down. Oh, this is too cheesy, whatever. And Andy Summers is kind of just going, well, this is a cool chord to play. And that's a real.
Can we get back to the music here, folks?
Yeah.
I think that's probably why it's so rare, because you get that synergy. If you have 2 or 3 like really super talented people that could be, heading their own band or whatever, but you put them together, it has the potential of creating, incredible art, art and music. But everyone wants to be the lead singer, right? Everyone wants to be number one.
Yeah.
The personalities, the egos get in the way, and it's just so tragic. That's
Pink
why
Floyd.
you look back at the Beatles documentary and you realize, God, if they could just grow up a little freaking bit, if they really could appreciate what they had, there's no reason why they couldn't have gone another 10 years.
Hell yeah!
I wonder.
Hell
It would have been
man.
interesting to see what they would have produced.
I think they
going
absolutely
forward.
would have reunited if Lennon hadn't
so, too.
died.
In
the
I think
80s.
they
Oh,
yeah. Really?
Absolutely.
Oh, in the 80s?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you
sure.
start talking about the kind of money that was being thrown around, and not that they would do it for the money, but as it was, they had ridiculous offers that were being made. But you think about stuff like Live Aid, you think about certain opportunities that kind of came up. I really think that they would have gotten together and done something, because they hinted at it even at the
Why wouldn't
end.
they?
There
Why-
was,
so
there was chatter.
and yet them not getting together and sort of in some very dark ways, the best thing that happened to the Beatles was the fact that John was taken out of the equation, and they could remain this pristine 7-8 year perfect thing.
Yeah.
So even the Free as a Bird stuff, which I loved, I thought that was a really great, the 1994
Yeah.
I thought that was wonderful, and I really enjoyed. I've argued for
I like it too.
hours with other Beatles fans about that. How like it's
What
not real
was it?
Beatles. I'm like, well, what does
What
that
is
even
it?
mean?
Well, what is that?
What is
Yeah.
In the anthology series in 1994, 95,
Yeah.
it was an 8-part.
Did
TV
Martin
series.
come back and produce that album?
Yeah, he produced that. So they
Okay,
went.
so,
They found these. They found a cassette that had John Lennon singing and playing piano on a bunch of tunes. Yoko gave this to Paul and George and Ringo, and so they brought in what's his name from ELO.
Jeff Lynne.
Jeff Lynne.
Yep.
He
Love
produced
Jeff Lynne. Love ELO.
and they wrote,
me too.
Free as a Bird, and I love it. I think it's a really, really cool way to sort of have the four of them perform together. John has this kind of ghostly, because it's a crappy little recording just on a little cassette recorder in
Yeah.
his house playing piano. And they didn't have Pro Tools back in 94 too, which is really amazing. So the fact that it sounds as good as it does, and they were basically doing it all analog, it's really cool. That, and then Real Love, which is the weaker of the two songs, but I think they're both really cool. So that was like this little hint of magic, and it's kind of lovely. The thing about Anthology that I love is the fact that Pete Best, who was the original drummer,
That's right.
when the Anthology came out, since Pete Best, it was in order, kind of the three double discs in order of all the Beatles stuff, all unreleased and secondary takes and early things. Pete Best, who was only on Anthology 1 for like 6 songs or something, he got something like $2 million in royalties.
Woo.
Just Pete Best.
Good for him.
I
Good for
totally
him,
get that. It was
man.
great, but I remember thinking like, what are the other numbers for like the?
Forget it,
Just as the
George.
guy who
Right.
wasn't even in the band who was there, it's like that's a whole other level of of economic success. It's fascinating.
I mean, sometimes I remember reading about Pete Best and how he left, and then Ringo went in, and the Beatles became these gods. And what he must have, it must have been like he must have had some bad days. I'll just say that, right? I mean, you
Hell
gotta
yeah.
have some
Oh,
bad
sure.
days if that happens.
What I love about Pete Best is he released an album called Best of the Beatles.
Funny.
And they couldn't say no, right?
Whoa!
This thing sold relatively well, but it was just his band. They did a couple of cover tunes, or whatever. But it was called It was called Best of the Beatles.
Trixie.
That's clever.
I
Isn't
like
that
it.
great?
I kind of like it. Nice.
It's like, good for you, man.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Work it, man. Work it. I
Whatever you can do to make a buck, dude. Like,
Pete
go
Best.
for
Yes, I'm totally fine with that, because that's just like sometimes I think about it. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
god,
But Bob, it's happening all the time. I mean, you look at any major success. There are people left in the wake that you don't even know about. Look at Facebook. There were other people involved.
I know.
I
I know.
mean,
This one's got to be like a top 3, right? This is a
And
big one.
But the
Thank-
Beatles wouldn't have been the Beatles without Ringo. Like,
exactly. Thank
if-
whoever
Right.
that it happened, because without Ringo and
Right.
what he brought to it, it still would not have been the same.
they would have been great. They would have been successful, but it would have been, like some version of the Dave Clark 5 or something. It would be great. They would be amazing songwriters still, but it wouldn't be the Beatles. It wouldn't
Right.
be the Beatles we know and love. So
All right, guys, we're going to shut this down because dinner and a weekend is
shit.
about to begin.
Yes.
I just
Thank
got
you.
here. What the hell? Come on,
I
let's
know,
I haven't talked
man.
about Yes. I got to talk about Yes for an hour now.
Yes,
Okay.
we have to do the Rush
ahead,
episode.
man.
We got.
Go ahead.
I'll stay here. You guys
I'll
go
listen.
ahead. Yeah, I'll
Oh,
stay.
no, I'll hang out.
Thanks, George.
George, when I
Thanks,
saw
buddy.
your little thumbnail appear, and I'm like, oh my God, George is in the chat. And then we immediately magically shifted over to something where we needed you. I thought that was
Magic.
very, very,
Very
cool.
Well, I was just scrolling through, saw you guys were live, checked it out for a second, and it's like they're talking about the Beatles.
Where's my link?
You got sucked into the SGU black hole. You came too close, George.
That's
We know your
what he
weak-
said.
We
The
know your
Event
weakness.
Horizon.
We know your
The Event
weakness.
Horizon sucked me in. I love it. Well, it's similar. It's funny you talk about that kind of push pull. You guys are a perfect example. You guys are in essence a band. You
Yeah.
really are.
Yeah.
You've
We
had
are.
some different members here and there, but the core of the band is the band, and you each have something that you provide for this thing. Which, if you four weren't there, it wouldn't quite be the same thing. In terms of its whatever 35 years now you've been doing this. What is it?
Yeah.
We're
It's
approaching
cool.
17. Yeah.
17 as a
Amazing.
podcast,
Yeah.
but 26 as a skeptical actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's-
we
it's
have,
cool.
and guys, whether you're aware of it or not, we have that unconscious synergy where we are aware of each other and know how to work with each other, right? That's why our shows are better and consistent today, where the first half a year was terrible.
Hello.
Right? If you go back then, we didn't even know how to talk
Hello.
into microphones back then.
Some of us still
Sure.
don't.
But Bob, you've gotten better. You've gotten better for sure.
All
right,
Couldn't get worse.
I'm shutting it down, boys. Have a good weekend.
Bye,
Everybody, thank you
guys.
so much.
Great
This was a
weekend,
fun
everyone.
Friday.
Thanks,
George.
Ian. Thanks for joining
Stay
us,
safe,
George.
safe, healthy.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Jay, see you
Bye-bye.
tomorrow at 11, Jay.
Happy to
Be
be
there,
here.
mother.
I'll be there. Bye, guys.
All right.
Bye. Skeptic's Guide to the Universe is produced by SGU Productions, dedicated to promoting science and critical thinking. For more information, visit us at theskepticsguide.org. Send your questions to info@theskepticsguide.org. And if you would like to support the show and all the work that we do, go to patreon.com/skepticsguide and consider becoming a patron and becoming part of the SGU community. Our listeners and supporters are what make SGU possible.
We're back.
George is a knower.
In case of Beatles conversation, break
Yes.
glass.
George
George.
knows.
George, don't tell Bob, don't tell Steve.
Okay.
But Evan
Don't
and
tell
I
the
have been doing an after show for the last couple of months.
Really?
Yes, and this is the after show.
The post-extreme show.
Oh, I'm glad I kept my clothes on.
Yes, you're the only one that knows. You're the only one. The audience knows, everybody knows, but Bob is now the bet is how long
Oh,
will we
that's
do this before they find out?
fantastic.
They don't know.
So
That is
clearly,
so good.
clearly, Steve and Bob, don't go back and rewatch these restreams,
No.
at least to
No.
the very end.
No, Bob
Otherwise,
has never
they
heard the
would
show.
know.
He's never heard a podcast. You
He
kidding?
he doesn't listen to his own voice.
I
That's
love it.
Bob. Yeah.
That's
So-
true.
So we just stay on for a few minutes. We chit chat a little bit. It's more of just to see how long it takes for these guys to realize it. And I think, and I know them very well. I don't think they're ever going to find out under normal operating circumstances.
So are we still on Facebook? Is it still
This
live
is
there?
live.
Oh, we're
So
live,
still-
George.
The
I
audience is
love
still
it.
here. They are all here.
They're hanging out with us.
Some
in the,
percentage of them.
the
Oh, I
post-exchange.
love it.
So, George,
Hi,
the-
everybody.
And the reason really this came about was because Jay and I have this exact same sort of feeling about this, is that it felt in a way almost rude to not wait to the very end to at least say thank you to Ian, who's
Yeah, to say thanks
frankly
to Ian.
responsible for putting all this together. You know, just to kind of walk away as the credits kind of are rolling. It doesn't seem,
Yeah.
I don't know, it doesn't seem right to me in a way. So I feel like I have to be there. I have to be the last one to lock up before. Things,
Yes.
You know,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
before it
But I
goes
think
away.
Well-
Ian was the one that thought, let's go live again. Right, Ian?
Is that
Remember,
true?
Oh, I think
This
I
is-
just let it go. I was like, by the way, we're still alive.
Oh, okay.
Like at one
this
point.
is literally the bed that Steve didn't make when he stayed here that one time.
Yeah,
We had
that's slop.
we had a long conversation
Oh.
about and that's not like that he didn't make the bed. He didn't even like pull the stuff
Strip
off
it,
and
yeah.
strip it. He just got out of
He
bed
walked out.
and left the house. You know,
walked out.
and that,
No, like-
that was this very bed right here. So yeah,
And then, if I remember correctly, we talked about it for like 2 hours in the
we
van.
did at breakfast in Seattle. We had this like, so what's the write up? What would you do if
Yeah.
And then I think on the show we talked about it for like another hour for
At
the private
least.
show.
Yeah.
And then debating like what is the right etiquette. And so
I think the 12-hour show even. You
maybe even the
mentioned it.
12-hour. Yeah. So Evan, I would think to at least to thank Ian for his, let alone the
Yeah.
people
kidding
sticking
me?
around.
Yeah, I do. I want to, properly acknowledge.
But we didn't get to any questions. From
Hit
the
us. What do you
chat,
got?
too, so
Oh yeah, you want to do a couple questions?
Let's take a couple of
Um,
questions for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
what do you all think about the Blizzard sale to Microsoft? Do you have any insight into that?
Didn't know about that.
It was
No,
like a
it's a-
60
What is that?
some odd billion. So Blizzard Activision, which was like recently under
They
fire.
make
for,
video
like, all
games.
kinds of like.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
sexual
World of
allegations.
Warcraft and some
Yeah,
of the
World of
others.
Warcraft, League of Legends, Call of Duty, StarCraft.
Yep,
all that.
Star-
I will-
Pretty big shit.
I have a couple of
Bought by
opinions here.
Microsoft.
One, let's talk about Skype.
Okay.
When Microsoft bought Skype,
Yes.
Skype slowly turned into a complete piece of shit.
Correct.
Now, what I'm
True.
hoping is that all the bad Microsoft developers were put on the Skype team, so they're not available to fuck anything else up. But
It's true.
this
Put
is
Fred on Skype. Screw him.
video games are a multi-billion-dollar industry. They're bigger than movies.
Yep.
So I don't think Microsoft is going to screw the pooch on this because it is so fantastically lucrative
Yeah.
that they probably are going to put their best people on there. I hope.
You'd hope.
I won't be surprised if we see something bad come out of it, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
They do a lot to tank products. I will say.
Well,
they do well in that.
What is the thing that tanks those products? What is it? Is it
Bad
did they get?
management.
But I mean, no, what are the things that? Because it's always like, here's this new feature that absolutely sucks.
Yeah.
Is it that, or is it just like, oh, we're not going to update, or we're not going to file? Like, which is the more common thing that makes things like blow after a while? Like,
I think part of it is bad vision, right? So, as an
Mhm.
example, Skype functioned very well. Skype had good, not fantastic, but it had good interface,
right.
which means that it made sense. There was that don't make me think idea behind it.
Yeah.
And somehow it turned into this thing where you can't figure out how to do things. As an example, and I have more to say about this because I'm not really answering your question yet. But as an example, we were adding in an interviewer, a person that we were going to interview on Wednesday of this week.
Last Wednesday, yeah.
And me, Bob, Evan, Kara, and Steve could not figure out how to add a person into the goddamn audio chat. Right?
That should be intuitive. That should be a basic function. Not this convoluted roadmap in which you have to search 3 websites to figure out the secret instructions on how to make that happen.
Wow.
So to me, that sounds like a development logjam. That sounds like a lot of people that don't have the power to make actual changes, because don't tell me that they're not seeing it. You can't convince me that all of the developers that work on this team aren't aware of it. I mean, you know,
It could
as
be
a
an
software
evolution thing, though. Like they built it where you have to make a call to the people you want, and you can't add people until you make a new call. So it's like,
and that's what eventually happened. We had to hang up the call and start all over with everyone.
So that was the solution.
Yeah, but we're not talking about that, Ian. We're talking about the idea. It's the idea that you can't add a person midstream. Like there should be a big green button that says add a person right now. You know what I mean? Like it should be so painfully obvious.
Or there is a way to do it, but it's impossible to figure out. There's nothing intuitive about it. These things need to be intuitive.
So it's bad
management, often not.
Bad vision, bad culture. The fact that a tester, like, you have a beta tester that is saying, hey, it's not easy to do this task, like we need to change that. And the fact that it doesn't get changed, again, because I have to think that their beta testers are aware of this. Their job is to be able to think about what it's like for a person to use the software. What's the user experience? How fast can they move through it and get the things done that they need to get done? So that type of stuff really comes down to corporate culture.
Is it death by committee like that? Is it that thing? There's now, instead of 2 people working on the thing, now there's 18 people working on the thing.
Yeah, but George, a good development team could have 100, 300, 1,000 people, 300. Multiple companies. It could be huge. So you have to have a good project manager, but it's always the people at the top. Shit trickles down the pant leg, and that's the way it works. That's the way it works with development.
I can remember 15 years ago, the first time I used Skype, I was going to be interviewed on Skepticality. And they had said, do you have Skype? I was like, what? I have no idea. I literally drove to Queens an hour and a half to Slough's place because he had Skype. He was like the only person I knew that had Skype or knew how to do it, whatever. So I literally drove an hour and a half to go to Skype with Atlanta with the Skepticality. I remember thinking like, oh, this is amazing. Oh my God, this is like, and it's free. It's amazing.
I know. And
Skype was amazing. TeamSpeak, remember?
Yeah, it was TeamSpeak. That's what we used to use when we were gaming. This is before the podcast, a couple of years. We were playing City of Heroes and among some other games, but mainly City of Heroes. And we were using TeamSpeak, which was crap.
Yeah.
It would shut off the other mics if they heard some other noise. It just was not good at all. Skype comes out in, I think, 2003 or so. At least that's when we stumbled upon it.
Wow.
And it was infinitely better. So much better. It was
we were blown away by
magnitude better in quality and
the clarity of it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we were so happy. And we're like, this is perfect. And even 2 years after that, when we started using it for the podcast, this is still perfect. They took something that we had that was great for us, and then sold it and then started screwing with it to make it less than ideal for us.
So, George, I want to thank you. Like, I can't tell you how cool it is to have you come in right at that right moment
No,
It
it's
was
perfect.
really-
It was great you were watching.
Kismet, baby.
It totally, exactly.
I'm just
And
happy
it-
to provide answers for you people. You know.
And also, if
I
you
can
think
say.
about it, George, we have developed that type of group synergy, like our creativity together. I mean, we're creating all the time with each other. You know,
I know. It's
I mean, just
endless.
today, like we do it all the time. Like,
Jesus.
but I think
Come on,
Get rid of these guys.
we
we-
have
We
a
need
little
7
bit of
more
that.
ideas for the show. What do you got, George? Oh, maybe we could do something with pterodactyls floating in jello. Is that good? Can we do that? Let's try that.
Let's run with it.
That's the incubator at work.
Seriously,
totally.
yeah, seriously.
That's the stinkubator.
Yeah, stinkubator.
All right, I'm gonna go because I gotta eat because my blood sugar is
Yes.
like one
Yes.
click below where it
I'm
needs to
so
be.
honored to be part of the secret. The
Thank you.
secret
George,
after
don't
show.
tell.
I'm
Don't
not telling
tell.
It's a
anybody.
real
Now that
genuine
you know
secret.
about what do we
I'm
call
gonna
this?
burn my
What
house
was our
down just
name?
to kill you.
The post-extreme
Post-extreme
show.
There it is.
Post extreme. Pez.
Now that
Pes.
you-
Pes. Yeah. Post
Now that you-
Pesh. Pesh.
let's call it PEX.
Peas.
No,
Eat.
it's PEX. Shh. PEX. Shh.
Ooh,
Have to
Pex.
keep showing there.
I like it. Pex.
George.
Oh, one final Discord question. How real is that Samsung fire behind you? Or is that a real fire?
It ain't no Samsung.
Oh, it's
That's
real?
no, it's not real. It's a
That's
that
propane,
actually
right?
that is my previous I had a flat screen TV before flat screens were really flat screens. I had this in like 2005, 4
Ooh.
maybe. Yeah. And
Ancient.
it's about that thick. So it's like at the time it was like a flat, and I never threw it out, and I just didn't, it's heavy, and I was like, I don't know. So
Those
I kept
things were
it. And
heavy.
now that this is my new office, because where I was, my neighbor Ms. Info, she moved, so I converted one room in mine to an office. Anyway, I got a dedicated Blu-ray player, and I stuck a thing, so that is just a permanent fireplace.
Yule log.
I love it.
Love it.
I love it. I
It
love
just
it.
feels like it's there. That's what's cool about it.
It's
Like,
low on the floor. I might even build some kind of a little hearth
Yes.
around it at some point, but it's
Yeah.
literally, yeah. So
and if you get a space heater, I bet you you could trick yourself a little bit. It would feel like,
just hearing it, I feel warmer from that
Is
corner.
it
coming.
crackling?
It's crackle. Yeah, I have it very
Oh.
low. I have it low as it can go, but it crackles all day. And it just I also have like a stream, kind of flowing stream thing. I might do that in the summer if I don't want to do the fire. But yes,
and wouldn't
it's,
the flowing stream though put out the fire?
it's true. Good point.
You better not have them in a safe
Under.
room. George, you can come back now. To Pesh. Pex.
Oh yes,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
right.
you have it- oh, it's infinite link.
Yeah, we'll have you
Oh,
back
that's
on.
true. Okay, yeah, awesome, sweet.
Where we
Good to
talk
know.
about
It
anything
actually
the
is
hell
a
we
different
want to
link
talk
each
about.
time,
Yeah.
but I can send it to you.
Okay.
Post
okay.
extreme show.
I love it.
All right, boys. Have a great weekend. Ian,
Bye,
thank
everyone.
You. Good night.
Thank
Ed.
you,
Thank
Ian.
Thank you,
George.
Ian. Thank you, Ian.
No,
Thank
Boys.
you, Ian.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Okay, I'm going to toggle one of you off at a time.
All right.
Bye-bye, Jay.
Bye, Jay.
Bye-bye, Evan. Bye-bye, George.
3D.